Here in a few minutes, we're going to revisit a couple NFL things, a couple football things. But first, I wanted to start off by talking about AI. And I've been thinking about this for a while and trying to put a couple of thoughts together. And I think it's important that we finally talk about AI a little bit and the pros, kind of weigh the pros and cons, because there's certainly a lot of both to sort through. Now, first and foremost, in terms of the pros, when it comes to organization, when it comes to information, in the sense of doing research, collecting, let's say you're doing a history paper, in terms of gathering research and gathering information, I think that AI can be very useful when you're talking about understanding, having a deeper understanding of mathematical equations or mathematical problems or things you're trying to sort through in literature. If I take a book, for example, and it's written in a style, the book is very old, the language is old fashioned, and some of the examples that are given, maybe you have a question about day-to-day life in that time period because you don't quite understand the context of the words, you don't understand the context of the story, you don't understand the context of the way that things are being described. I think it is pretty useful to just scan it with your phone and ask whatever AI software to give you a deeper and better understanding of that particular thing. And so when it comes to just gaining information and using it, let's say you're using it for a business and it's giving you business strategies and it's giving you predictions of here's how much how much business based upon the last 3 years. Here's how much business you're going to do this week or today or this holiday season. I think when it comes to those things, when you're sorting through numbers, I think that AI can be very useful. And AI gives you the ability, it's kind of like the internet, but on steroids. It gives you the ability to obtain a lot of information very quickly. And you can say maybe that's a positive or a negative because you want to also be sure that you go through the information and make sure that it's legitimate. And just simply spamming information all the time through an AI filter might not be the best thing if you're looking for accuracy. But I do think that it's going to encourage people because of the ease in which it is used. It can encourage people to learn a little bit more. And so, in those formats, I think that AI is a positive. And as far as the negatives go, I'm trying to decide on how to, if I should actually try and rank these in no particular order. Let's just say this. First of all, you have to consider how it can hurt individuals. I think there was a video, I think it was Tom Brady, and this might have been a year or two ago, where I'm pretty sure it was Tom Brady. Somebody made a video of him saying something that he should not say, and they posted it online, and I think he had to come out and say, that wasn't me. He, he discredited that video. And so it is a very dangerous tool that can be used to destroy people's career, to destroy people's livelihood. And you think about it, it's kind of like, when a woman comes out and falsely accuses a man of sexual assault, the accusation alone, whether or not, he in some cases he's not even guilty and the woman is just lying for revenge or whatever. In some cases he's not even guilty, but the accusation alone can be enough to discredit him, can be enough for him to receive backlash, can hurt his business, could hurt the good name he has tried to make for himself in society. And so when you're talking about those things and using people's voice, using their likeness, it can be very, very destructive. And I have heard about stories of people people making deep fake porn where they will take a woman's face, a woman who has not consented to this. They'll take her likeness, they'll take her face, and they'll plaster it on some woman's body for pornography and destroy it. It will destroy their life because people now think, oh, I didn't know this person was a porn star. Oh, I didn't know this person did pornography. And so those kind of things are extremely destructive. And I saw somebody post one time on social media. It was in a thread. They were talking about AI, and one of the responses said, and now suddenly eyewitness testimony just goes completely out the window because now you can make anybody say anything, you can recreate any situation, and it looks. I don't think we're quite to the point where it is totally 100% realistic. I think that AI is still kind of operating in that uncanny valley space where you can't exactly tell what is off, but you can tell that something is off. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you can just tell this is not an accurate video. For some reason, a lot of AI videos that I come across, a lot of the ones that really stick out, they look like they were recorded on a camera from the mid 2000s or something like that. It's like when somebody says, "I have video evidence of Bigfoot or of aliens." It's like, okay, well, you're recording it on a flip phone. Every single person that's seen aliens or Bigfoot records it on a 2005 flip phone. That's what it looks like, just super grainy and things like that. And so I think that we can still kind of maneuver through those situations and understand and that a lot of the stuff is AI and we can point out what is and what is not AI. But when you're talking about the trajectory of development, if I would see videos of AI from 2 or 3 years ago and it's just a jumbled mess. It looks like some kind of weird animated scene or something. And now you look at it and it's just getting more and more real. And that's over the span of 2 or 3 years. So you think 5 years in the future, where are we going to be? And so that is a valid point. What do we do about eyewitness testimony? What do we do about people who are talking? Did you say this? Did you not say this? You could basically make anybody say anything. And look, I'm just as guilty as everybody else in terms of enjoying that kind of stuff because I would find clips or my brother would send me clips of three guys playing video games and they're all using AI voice chat. So one of them sounds like Barack Obama, one of them sounds like Donald Trump, and the other one sounds like Joe Biden, and it's pretty stinking funny. I mean, it's pretty hilarious, and so I definitely enjoy it. But if they were to say something, pretty much anybody can make anyone else say something in Donald Trump's voice. And people do this. I've heard of old people getting scammed or just maybe not even old people, like somebody, oh, yeah, my niece, uh, grandma will say, my niece called me and said that she needs $500. So I sent her $500. But really, what it was somebody got a hold of AI and it's like, Grandma, I need some money. This is so and so. This is your niece or this is your granddaughter. I need money. Give me money. And the grandmother will send it. And so it just opens up a wide variety of different problems. And as much as I enjoy listening to Justin Bieber or let's say Justin Bieber singing a song from the 1960s, right? Or flip flop that. So yeah, we got Frank Sinatra singing a um, Sinatra singing an Adele song, and Frank Sinatra's not alive. As much as I enjoy that, as much as interesting as that is, it's not. I don't think it's ethical. It's not ethical, and you think about it this way: some of these movie stars that have been in these franchises, the franchise or the studios basically owns the rights to their likeness. Okay. So, an example of this, I think this is how it worked. I could be mistaken, but if you watched the Flash movie, the one with Ezra Miller, the one that kind of bombed and sucked, that came out a few years ago, they put in footage of the OG Superman. Um, I forget his name. The guy that played Superman in like the 60s or 70s in the movies, right? They either take a clip of the old movie and put it in the new movie, or they own the likeness to his they own the rights to his likeness, so they'll just recreate a scene using CGI and put that into the movie because they own him as a character, right? They own his face. Oh, he's Superman, right? And we own the rights to that. Studio owns the rights to that, so we're going ahead and put it in this movie. Now, that is a little bit different because the actor at the end of the day probably receives some kind of royalties, and that's part of the contract. They sign a contract saying, okay, the studio can use my likeness, the studio can use me in a computer generated scene if if I sign this over and they'll pay me millions of dollars. Okay. But now everybody essentially has the power to use anybody else's likeness, anybody else's voice, anybody else's um, anybody else's voice to do whatever they want, say whatever they want, put them in a variety of different questionable situations. And that to me is just completely insane. It's not only unethical from the perspective of, hey, you've built an Instagram page off of using Freddie Mercury's voice singing modern day songs. That's not really fair. That's not really fair to, I mean, Freddie Mercury is dead and he's not around to fight against that, but it's not really fair to his family either. It's not really fair to the ones that have received various royalties and they were the benefactors after he passed away. It's not really fair to them, is it? It's not really fair that you can just make Freddie Mercury's voice or somebody that sounds like him and twist it a little bit, sing whatever you want, and then you are getting a following because of that. Maybe even making money off of it. I guess if you have enough followers on social media, and so it's very dangerous. It can be very unethical, and you also have to think going back to the pornography thing. You can we can obviously talk about how much pornography has hurt society, how it's hurt young men, and how it's hurt young women. But the levels of disgraceful behavior that have yet to be uncovered because of this AI thing, now you can just put in whatever you want. And you know that there are some sickos out there using AI to look up or create some disgusting things. I mean, it's completely out of control. It's completely out of control. And I think that there needs to be some guidelines put in place here. Like I'm for it. Like use it for learning, use it for your business, use it for organization, use it to make your life easier day to day. But using it to grift off of other people, other people's success, using it to harm people, using it to discredit people, using it to destroy people's livelihoods, there has to be some consequences for that. There has to be some consequences for that. It's just the wild, wild west at this point. I mean, it's just a complete free for all. And it can be easy to, yeah, there's some good that comes from it, but it's also hard not to be just very skeptical and afraid about the negatives that can come from that. It's kind of like with college football. College football has changed. Players are getting paid in college. NIL has made things a lot more lucrative for the really good players, but there's also no control. It's just completely out of control. Players are bouncing around, coaches are bouncing around, players are getting paid, and I don't necessarily have a problem with players getting paid, I guess, but I'm saying the manner in which they operate, it's just the wild, wild west. And so there are some positives that can be gleaned from it, but there's also it's a mess. It's a total mess. Good luck. It's like good luck trying to keep track of what's all going on. Players are getting stolen to other teams and they're getting paid and coaches are bouncing around all over the place. It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. So somebody needs to come in and kind of rein things in a little bit because the conferences are changing, the dynamic between players and the coaches are changing, like with money and everything. And so somebody needs to step in and kind of regulate all of this. And the same is true of AI. And maybe not an official figure, like this person is in charge of regulating AI. They have to put something in place to punish the people that use it for evil, basically. There has to be some consequences in place. You can't just take anybody's face and make them say anything or make them do anything, potentially destroy their life, and then just get away with it. I think that is a gateway to destruction, let me tell you. So there's some pros and cons. And I think that in a lot of ways, AI has been around in for a little while, but now we're starting to get into the point where things are becoming more and more realistic. And so something is going to need to be done at some point before it gets more out of control than it already is. And also it is, I do wonder about AI when it comes to um, the legitimacy of literary works. And so if I went to Chat GPT, I don't know if this is exactly how it works, or I went to some kind of AI platform and I said, write me an original piece about World War II, then it would probably automatically pull. It's like pulling from all of these sources, and boom, it just gives you paragraphs and paragraphs of World War II. And it's not necessarily copyright. It's not necessarily plagiarism because it's in your own words, but you didn't do anything. It was just the AI, it was just AI computer. So I don't know how all of that works, but I do know that to a certain extent, you have to know. You have to know. You can't just say, "Well, give me information about this, you give me information about that," and not. I think it creates a an unethical situation where you don't know. You could just it could just be plagiarizing somebody and taking their work away from them, taking away their credit. So I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty wild. I personally do not use AI because I think most of it is just a waste of time, to be honest. Most of the time, what I see people doing with AI is just making funny videos. Oh, just making it's like making memes basically, except you can make whatever scenario you want, whatever funny scenario that you want. And so it's not really used for anything productive. It's basically like another social media platform. You're doom scrolling, except you're creating the content that you're observing. And pretty soon you've created your own little list of things that you can doom scroll. So I think it's kind of a waste of time, and I've stayed away from it at this point. So definitely interested in seeing what comes next. Anyway, as for the NFL, going back to some football things, Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers is coming back to the NFL and is I think people are anticipating him to start for the Indianapolis Colts this Sunday versus the Seahawks. Now, first of all, RIP to the Colts. I mean, technically they could still make the playoffs. So they're not that far behind in the division, but what a catastrophe. What a catastrophe. I saw that um is it Sauce Gardner? Is that his name? The defensive back that we traded for, that the Colts traded for a few weeks ago. He's injured, so that's unfortunate. Daniel Jones is out for the season. The backups suck too much. Anthony Richardson I think he's still injured and he sucks. So just in a really bad spot. It looked very promising at the beginning of the year that we might actually have something, but now it's just kind of all in shambles. As for Philip Rivers, major major kudos to that guy. And I like seeing people succeed. Now, he hasn't won anything yet. He hasn't won any games or had good performances, but I like stories where people succeed. And I like people I like seeing stories of people who will not give up. And you can say it's counterproductive for the Colts to take him on. You can say that it's foolish and it's not going to work out. It's going to be embarrassing. All of that could very well be true. But in terms of him as an individual, I have major respect for him for still having the guts to go out there, put on the pads again, and be chased around by men that are 300 pounds. You talk about a crazy person. You talk about somebody who has passion and a love of the game. I respect that. I respect that a lot. It's like Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan, he I read the story that within Michael Jordan's contracts, his basketball contracts with the Bulls, he put a love of the game clause in the contract, which meant that at any point in time, off season, regular season, during his professional basketball career, he could go and play pickup basketball with anybody, anywhere, at any time, anytime he wanted. Because a lot of times what happens now, there's so much money involved that the organizations, football organizations, NFL teams, NBA organizations, they'll put in the contract, you play for us, we're paying you millions of dollars to play basketball. We don't need you rolling your ankle playing against some rando at the YMCA. And we don't need you to go out there and hurt yourself and break your arm. You're our starting quarterback playing tackle football with your cousins on Thanksgiving. And that does make some sense. But Michael Jordan, he's like, guys, I am the best player in the world, and I love this game more than anything else. I'm a complete psycho. And if we're going to get along, you are going to let me play whenever I want to play. That's how much I love the game. And I respect that. I respect that. And it's also kind of like it reminds me of Kirk Cousins. You remember Kirk Cousins when talking about playing football during COVID, he says, if I die, I die. If I die, I die. That's how much I love this game. And that's kind of how I view Phillip Rivers now. That's kind of he's 44 years old, retired, sitting at home, gets a phone call from the Colts, and he played for the Colts before, and he's just like, "I'm back in, baby. I put me back in, coach. I still want a chance." And he's still thirsty for competition, and that to me is really cool. That to me is really cool. I talked a few weeks ago about the NFL being overprotective of quarterbacks. And I still hold the same point of view, but I just wanted to point it out. I think it's been about 2 weeks now. It was 2 weeks ago. Jackson Dart, who is the starting quarterback for the New York Giants, he did a quarterback run and he's running towards the sidelines and does not get out of bounds in time. And he gets absolutely destroyed. He gets destroyed. I don't know if it was a linebacker or a defensive back or who it was, but he doesn't step out of bounds quick enough, and that guy he fully commits to just laying him out. And I am there for it, man. I am there for it. I watched the replay and I was like borderline pumping my fist. Like, yeah, it's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. These quarterbacks, they think they can run all over the place, never get punished for it. They think they can do whatever they want, and everybody's just salivating, constantly praising them for their athletic ability and their running ability. Every once in a while, they just need to get destroyed. I'm sorry. Late hit, do I really care? Not really. Um, but it was a clean hit. I think that was the general consensus, is that it was a clean hit. But of course, some guy from the New York Giants is like, "Oh, don't hit my quarterback that way," and starts shoving around the guy that put the hit on him. I'm like, guys, come on, come on. Like, what are we? This is football. Everybody gets hit. Everybody gets tackled. Everybody is going to have to pay the price eventually. And especially quarterbacks, they get to escape a lot of the damage that a lot of the other players and positions have to go through. And I think it's totally fine and normal for them to get just punished sometimes, absolutely eviscerated. And that's exactly what happened to Jackson Dart a couple weeks ago. And I can't help it. It kind of put a smile on my face. Last thing for football, and the last thing that we'll talk about today is we'll take a moment to talk about the Bijan Robinson controversy. Now, Bijan Robinson is the running back for the Atlanta Falcons. And He's having a very good year, very good year. I'm not really a Falcons fan, so I don't really care that much, but he has played very, very well. He's played extremely well this year, and I can't remember if he's a rookie. He's a rookie. Maybe he's a rookie, or this is his second season. But he's really been one of the only redeeming qualities of the Atlanta Falcons this year is watching him play. And he kind of fell into a sticky situation in I believe it was a post game interview. He was being interviewed by just whoever, you know how they do. They interview the players after the game, and they were referencing his ability, like he's dragging players all over the place, he's bouncing off different players, and he's breaking the tackle. And they mentioned the the game that you would play as a kid. You go out with your friends or with your family, and you throw the ball up. Whoever grabs the ball, you immediately have to tackle them, right? Some people call it crush the carrier, but a lot of people sometimes we called it smeared the queer. That's what we call it, and that's what Bijan Robinson referred to it as, is smear the queer. And so he starts receiving backlash for that. He starts receiving backlash. Oh, he shouldn't say that. Oh, it's offensive, and all these different things. And it's like, what are we doing? So he goes and he apologizes on social media. And me, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes. Okay. I'm just kind of rolling my eyes. Like, guys, a lot of people called it that growing up. And he was just recalling a childhood experience. Okay. He wasn't trying to be rude. He wasn't trying to be derogatory. He wasn't going, I don't think he was going out of his way just to just to say something controversial or be offensive. That's just in the moment. That's what he recalled. That's what they called his kids, and that's what he said. Okay, and people just get in such an uproar about things. People get such an uproar. It gets in such an uproar about things. And it's like, guys, this is this is the National Football League. This is like one of the most violent sports on the planet, and we're going to get butthurt. This is what we watch. It's controlled violence, and then we're just going to get butthurt. Everybody's going to get butthurt over him saying that. Come on, it's ridiculous. It's completely overblown. And do you know what I have a problem with is the immediate push for apology, right? The immediate push for apology, and then they always cater to it. They always just go, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I messed up." Just bowing down to every single thing. And I'm not saying that there are situations out there I'm not saying that there are situations where you should never apologize, because there certainly are situations where you should just say, "Hey, I'm sorry. You know, that came out wrong. I shouldn't have said that at the time. It wasn't it wasn't the right thing to say." Or maybe had the wrong attitude about something. And so there are plenty of opportunities, there are plenty of circumstances where you should apologize. But making a reference to something that was in your childhood is just I don't I don't necessarily think that you should have to apologize for that, especially when it comes to the left, okay? Because here's the thing, when you're talking about forgiveness, when you're talking about apology, part of the dynamic, nobody has to forgive you. Okay? Nobody has to forgive you. Nobody's obligated. When you say I'm sorry, nobody's obligated to forgive you. Now, if somebody sincerely apologizes, I think it's important that you consider forgiving them. I think that's a good practice in life, not to just hold on to things and be bitter and angry and never forgive anybody, because you certainly have your fair share of faults, and you certainly hope that you'll be able to find forgiveness for those faults at some point, regardless of who it is that you offended. But I do not see a forgiving attitude from people on the left. It's not even about it's to them, it's not even about you saying you're sorry. They don't care. They don't care whether or not you're sorry. You've already messed up. You've already screwed up in their eyes. And you're going to be uh kind of under their thumb for the rest of your life because you offended them. You offended them. and now they demand that it's apology. It's apology time. Now get down on your hands and knees and beg for our forgiveness because that's who we are. It's not even about saying I'm sorry and then them forgiving you. It's more so like how far can they make you go? How much do you have to grovel to get them to just say, and by the way, when you post these I'm sorry on social media, who is it exactly that is supposed to be forgiving you? Who is it? You expect the whole LGBT community to come out and post, oh, we don't worry, Bijan, we forgive you. It's okay. What is this? Are they even is that even a real apology? Honestly, I don't know. But it's really just covering your rear end so you don't bring more of an onslaught onto you in your career. But I don't I do not see forgiveness from the left. I don't see forgiveness from these people. And, when there's never forgiveness and when it's constantly just trying to hold things over your head and, we'll go back in time and we'll view every single thing that you ever said in the history of forever and hold it over your head for all of eternity. Do I really care about the forgiveness of those people? And it's like when they go back 10, 20 years ago and try and dig up crap, stupid crap that people said, famous people said, oh, we're just going to cancel them now. We have them now under our thumb. Are those the kind of people do we really need their forgiveness? Do we really want their forgiveness? Are those the people we really should be groveling towards? I don't think so. I don't think so. Just hateful people that just want to cause a stir about every single thing. Soft people that are offended by everything. Do we really do should we really be capitulating to them all the time? I don't know. It seems like a never-ending cycle because the goalpost moves so often that it's hard to keep up what is offending. It's hard to keep up with what's offending people because today it's something, tomorrow it's something else, and tomorrow, and if I said something today, it could be totally fine. 5 years down the road, when they decide that it's offensive, they're going to go back. Oh, Travis said this 5 years ago, and I think that he should be destroyed, and he's not up with it. I don't need the forgiveness of those people. I don't. I really don't. If I'm in that position, I don't really need their forgiveness. But like I said, there are situations where you should say I'm sorry. That those situations certainly exist, but the groveling, the capitulating, no forgiveness. They're really just trying to poke and prod and seeing how much control that they can have over you. Can we get him to apologize? Can we put so much pressure on him that we make him feel bad and we make him say I'm sorry? It's really about power is really what it is. Because they basically they kind of like socially blackmail you. It's like if you don't apologize, we're coming after you and your career. And yeah, I just think that again, especially within the context, like guys, do we really think that he said this to make people mad or offend anybody? No. Do we really think he was trying to do any kind of real damage? No. So let's move on. Maybe he'll try and do better next time. And let's get on with our lives, okay?